Today we're going to be thinking about the noosphere and how it helps us in our deepening practice, how it's relevant to this consciousness shift. Let's reconnect. So I'm going to begin by talking about the noosphere, introducing it. It's a term that I have mentioned before in one of my earliest videos. I made a video about Teilhard de Chardin, the Jesuit priest, and it was back in about 2015 or 16. And I didn't get many views at all for it. It was like an ASMR style video. But actually now the time has come to revisit it because there's a renewed interest, and I have heard his name mentioned more recently because it's very relevant to our understanding of what is happening in this consciousness shift. So I was first introduced to him 30 odd years ago when I was at university studying theology, because he wrote a really seminal, important book called The Phenomena of Man. And how I understood Teilhard de Chardin is that he explained just as the earth is evolving, the biology of the earth is evolving, so too is the consciousness, the soul of the planet, as it were. So he was a paleontologist, and I've got these lovely shells here today, and I've also got a little globe. It's not really a globe, but it's the closest I could find that will help to illustrate what I mean by the noosphere. They make a lovely sound, don't they? So how do we say it? It's I always say noosphere because it looks like the word moose, but with an N. But actually it could be noosphere, I don't know, it doesn't really matter. It's from two words, nous, N-O-U-S, meaning mind, and then sphere, because it's a sphere that is a layer of consciousness around the earth. The noosphere is the mind of the earth. Like we talk about having, I think of it a bit like the light body of the earth. So when we did our Let's Reconnect last Friday, somebody actually said that they felt tingles in their body, but they actually felt their awareness was at the front of their body, almost out of the body. And when we discussed this, we said, more and more I'm convinced that when we are sitting in the power and we're doing this deepening practice, we are becoming more comfortable being in our light body. We're trying it on for size because we are in this shift where we're moving to a different epoch, really, a paradigm shift, and we're getting used to our new bodies. This is talked about in the Bible, about us having new bodies. But so too the earth, there will be a new earth. The Bible talks about the new heavens and the new earth. And understanding the noosphere kind of makes it more real. It's very exciting because it's as though we are moving into that. Now, let me just, I'm running ahead of myself because it is exciting, but let me just explain more fully what the noosphere is. It's related to the term geosphere, okay? Geo meaning earth, inanimate matter, and biosphere meaning biological life. The noosphere emerges through and is constituted by the interaction of human minds. This is the important bit. That it is like a kind of cloud. Like you have the cloud that you upload to digitally, and we can't see, it's invisible, it's just somewhere there, but we know that when we draw information from it, but we're also uploading to the cloud like a big storage system of information. And it's this storage system of everything, all the history, all the culture, everything that's happened, all the experiences that Earth has gone through, in particular in relation to the human story. Okay? So the story of human evolution, all the memory of it, doesn't this link to the Ho'oponopono work that we've done, where we talk about there being data and going into the programming to clean memory, otherwise the patterns repeat. So all this ties in with understanding the noosphere. Think of it like a layer, like a morphic field That's Rupert Sheldrake's term, that there is this morphic field that is a consciousness, and it's how telepathy happens. I was thinking this morning, when somebody, if we start off understanding it about ourselves, the soul isn't actually inside our body. I am going to do a whole video about the soul, actually, some myth busting about the soul, but it's not, our mind is not inside the cranium of the brain. It's actually so that we all have separate minds. It's more outside the body, and the mind of a person, or the soul of a person, holds all the memory of all the energetic imprints that of the story of that person's life. And that's why when you meet a psychic or a clairvoyant, they look at you and they're able to tell things about you. You think, they're able to read my mind. What they're doing is they're able to read the field, the morphic field of your soul. The story is there. Somehow they're able to access it. And if we think about that on a larger scale in relation to the earth, if somebody from off planet, extraterrestrial being, or an ultra-terrestrial, angels, are coming down into the orbit of Earth, coming closer to Earth, they're able to sense this energetic field and read it. They're able to see the patterns and the memory and all the information that is there. And that's how the angels are able to come to the assistant. There are many, many beings, light beings, who are seeing where Earth is at in its trajectory of evolution, because actually I'm just being reminded of that Teilhard's vision was that this is gradually evolving from simplicity to complexity, but it's a trajectory that leads us upwards or forwards, and it will ultimately arrive at the Omega point, and the Omega point is Christ. He was a Christian, he was a Jesuit priest, he had this vision, and he was bringing his understanding of science and biology and evolution together in that theology. Of course, it wasn't well received at the time. He was always skirting. I don't think he ever was quite excommunicated, but he got very close to it. And certainly people who are very invested in the old story do not like Teilhard de Chardin, so he gets a lot of abuse online from the traditional Christians. Okay, he's seen as a heretic, and so we know that we're going in the right direction because we're in the new story, and he was way ahead of his time, but now we're ready for him and for his teaching. Let me just glance here in case there's anything that I've missed. The noosphere emerges and is constituted by the interaction of human minds. Yeah. The noosphere has grown in step with the organisation of the human mass, the collective consciousness. So that's another term we could use. That's Jung's term. That there's this collective mind, largely unconscious, so he could just say collective unconscious, because if you think that all of the story is there, all the patterns are there for all of us, that makes you realise that a lot of our behaviour that we do unconsciously, we think, well, that trauma that we're carrying has nothing to do with my individual life, because we might be carrying trauma, and we are, trauma and patterns that are of the larger mind, that are in the noosphere. You see, and so a lot of our behaviour is unconsciously programmed. And once we know this, it's empowering, because we can stand, as it were, outside of it and see it for what it is, and then we can make choices to change it, to go in and clean the bits that we don't like. We can take it in the direction we want to take it in. We can help it towards that trajectory of Omega point, which is Christ consciousness. And here's the other thing I wanted to talk about. The Christ, remember, is will. This is the only planet of choice. Earth is the only planet of choice. And this is why it's such a privilege to be here. You know, when you think that your days are a little bit tedious, mundane, remember that you are being cheered on by this host of witnesses who are just there to help you, because when you have a thought to clean something up and to bring the light in, to be the light of the world, remember the light of the world is Christ. Christ said, I am the light of the world. The I am consciousness, the Christ consciousness, is using the free will to choose the higher path, not to run the default programming of the masses that will get us stuck and we won't be making progress. It could even take us backwards. And remember all the learning we've done about how it just came to my mind that the influences that want to keep us locked in those patterns. And we made reference to Sophia, the Pistis Sophia, mythologically, where it's the archons who want to keep the light. They want to keep that rule over that consciousness zone. They don't want us moving out of that zone, so they're left with nobody there. You know, they don't want that progress. But the Christ is using your free will for the higher choice. And every time we do that, we're impacting the new sphere. We're helping with the evolutionary progression of the whole planet. Now this is where it gets exciting, because we might think, oh, who am I? You know, I'm just one person in the 8, I don't know, billion people on the planet, whatever it is, I don't know, but it's a lot. And you think I'm so insignificant, because how I'm thinking and how I'm using my mind, it might make a difference, but it's a grain of sand, you know, in the big, it's just nothing. If you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you can say to that mountain, move. It's just coming to my mind now. Maybe this is what it's meaning, because I was given the image this morning of when we are doing the work, when we are doing this work, when we're sitting within the power and the deepening, we're bringing the energy, light and information in, like when we do our Friday Let's Reconnect and we start to feel that power. We're feeling into our light bodies, and the light is just being turned up a little dial on the collective whole. You know what image came to mind that was quite funny? I don't know if you know the game Mario Kart from years ago, but I think, you know, some people started playing it again during lockdown, and I was rubbish at it always. So I was always really at the back of the race, you know, whatever car I chose and character I chose. But occasionally you get these little booster rockets. And if you got a booster rocket, then suddenly you were just going so fast, and you're whizzing ahead, and before you know it, you're second or first in the race. So you've got this boost. And what I was being shown was that that's how it is for us, because we have this great host of angels, guides, helpers, teachers that are willing us on in the race. Okay, they're giving us their energy and light and information, so that the impact is much greater than it would be were we just on our own. And that's the word of encouragement. That's how it applies to us. That when you are using your mind, which you're doing all the time, it's either in default and you're running the pattern, so you're strengthening the patterns, the unconscious patterns, or you're uploading something new that is tweaking the new sphere, the collective soul, the neurosystem of the planet. And it's true to say that the planet is ailing, you know. As I said about how if the angels came, the guides, the bodhisattvas and ascended masters, as they are looking on, they see the ailing planet, just as a doctor would look on and see where there is a diagnosis of there's an illness here, and it's as though the earth is in the humanity, but nations. I can say this for our nation, my nation. I say our nation, I'm in the UK, that it is as though the nation is in neurosis. It's having a breakdown. I said this to my husband a few months back, but it was just when things seemed to get to a head. We had all this business of leaving our allies. It's almost like a paranoia, because the collective have been fed by the media, have been fed this story that they've believed, so they've been gaslit. And you start to think about the archons, the moguls, the media oligarchs and media corporations and so on, who are wanting to control the population so that they make the decisions, vote the way they want and so on. And so we are fed lies that keep us trapped in our thinking, in a consciousness zone. And when that plays out, it leads to ruin, because what it does is it just benefits the small number of people that are rich, the elites that are rich. And the populace at large suffers. So we're just being played as puppets, and we're seeing that in the UK because we just, we've cut our severed links with our closest trading partners, so now our food prices are sky high, doubled in the last couple of years. And then the stories that the politicians tell to get themselves off the hook become more and more bizarre, and their behaviour becomes more erratic. And we had a Prime Minister that was only in office for a few weeks and managed to crash the economy and nearly double mortgages, taking risks and gambling with the economy. And you kind of think, what is happening? They've lost the plot. It really is as though the nation is having a breakdown, a psychosis. And you might say the same about your nation, but in the planet as well, just in terms of what we're doing to the planet. It's coming to a head where we're starting to realise that when we lost the divine feminine, and we did not include that in our understanding or our teaching about the world, both in terms of religion and in terms of materialist science, and we thought of the earth simply as an object, a material object or a commodity, and we forgot, we didn't honour the fact that she's a living organism and part of us. We're in this symbiotic relationship with earth rather than this domination, colonialization kind of, imperial, it's just an object there to be used. It's led us to this place that we're at. But the good news is we are waking up. People are waking up and seeing what can be done about it and restoring this sacredness, this sacred relationship with earth. And every time we honour this practice of deepening, we're able to use our free will to choose something different, choose a different way of thinking about reality, about all of it. And we will be helping move towards that omega point, move towards the new earth. I remember that Dolores Cannon spoke about this. She spoke about the new earth, didn't she? And she spoke about this sort of splitting off, like as though there were two earth and it was splitting away from itself. So, that might help for people to think what the noosphere is. Maybe it sheds its skin. That's an image that's just come to me now. It sheds the old earth and then it can move into the new earth that is actually more vitalized. It's lighter and it's brighter and it has a better symbiotic relationship with humans. And there's a lot of what people talk about rewilding, don't they? About this fascinating TED talk I saw the other day about rewilding and reintroducing species, that then the earth has an intelligence that will balance itself out and it can repair itself if we give it opportunity to do so. So it's exciting, and I just hope that something I've said, I feel as though I've rambled a little bit, but I hope that something I've said has encouraged you, has helped you to think in a new way, has helped you to see how some of the stuff we're learning, being shown, ties in with other. You're making connections between different themes and teachings, so that we have clarity on why we're here and what we're doing and what a great privilege it is. So I just leave you with that word of encouragement. Know when you're doing your practice, you're really making a difference. And don't lose heart, don't lose hope. Join me on Friday again if you can. More and more of you are coming as we do this more regularly. The idea is that the Tuesday uploads are the teaching. We can always pick up any threads on the Friday. Any thoughts that you have, any comments you make on the video, I can then pick those up. You can bring questions to the live, and we'll ask the questions live, because, as I said, this noosphere is the angels coming into our consciousness zone. The veil is thinning, and they bring not only their light and energy, but they bring information, which means they'll bring us answers if we ask. They're here to guide us. So they're messengers, aren't they? Angels are messengers. They bring information. So I think it's just going to get more and more exciting the more we practice that. And join us if you can, so that you can feel the frequencies there for yourself. I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Take care. All my love. God bless. Touches of grace throughout your day. Deepest peace through the night. See you next time.